In today's video, we're going to break down 5 simple ways to get rid of chronic bloating without having to cut out the foods that you love. So if you are someone who really wants to break free from the painful bloat that is making you feel uncomfortable in your clothes, causing you to stress about the foods you eat, or even worry on that next date night or that vacation and how your body's going to react when you eat something, then this video is for you. And I'm not only going to share with you how to get rid of that painful bloat, but also what is normal versus abnormal bloat, plus common mistakes people often make when they're trying to get to the root cause of that painful bloating. So you can save money, time, and relieve any stress you have around the foods you eat. And also, of course, so you can feel confident in your clothes again. And so with that being said, my name is Cassie Lambert. I'm a functional nutritionist who specifically specializes in helping women lose the bloat, the belly fat, and inflammation so they can thrive from the inside out. But before we get into how to actually get rid of that bloat, we first have to have a true understanding of what is normal versus abnormal bloat. Because the truth of the matter is, bloating is normal. It's common. So if you go out to meet with friends and you have 3 to 5 slices of pizza, you're likely going to feel bloated. That big Thanksgiving feast, you're probably going to have some bloat. Or maybe you had a couple of beers, you're going to have some bloat. This bloat, I would say, is normal. But abnormal bloat, such as you wake up bloated, right? If you're waking up in the morning bloated, that is abnormal. Or if your bloat is hard and distended, you kind of take your fist and you touch your stomach and it feels hard, that is abnormal bloat. Or maybe your bloat is accompanied by diarrhea, constipation, or severe pain. This is abnormal bloat. The kind of bloat that gets progressively worse throughout your day, and by the end, you feel and look 6 months pregnant. This is abnormal bloat. And this abnormal bloat, it's a signal, it's an alarm bell. It's your body's way of telling you something is going on, such as a gut infection or a hormonal imbalance or low stomach acid. But the mistake we often make is, but bloat is normal, and this is just the way that it has to be. Or maybe you're someone, you've tried these things. You said, well, you know what? I don't feel really well when I eat certain foods. So let me cut these foods out. Sometimes they're healthy, sometimes they're more processed foods. I'm just going to start cutting out foods. And next thing you know, you only have 5 foods that you can actually choose from. So you're stressing, what do you eat at the next family get together? Another common mistake is taking a supplement like a probiotic. We think, well, if we take this pill, this gut healthy pill, I'll feel better. If we take this greens powder, I'll feel better. But a supplement of any kind is often like a Band-Aid. It might give you some relief, temporary relief, but it's not actually healing your gut. Or you may realize when you take some of these supplements, you don't feel any better at all, and you just wasted your money on a supplement. Or maybe you went to your doctor. You go to your doctor, you let them know, hey, I'm bloating. I'm bloating in the morning. It's hurting. It doesn't feel good. And while your doctor may have good intentions, oftentimes your doctor is just there to see if you are sick or not. So you may walk away with a prescription or a pill or a food list that says, don't eat these foods. But the root cause of why you are bloated, why you're experiencing this painful abnormal bloat, is never taken care of. And this is exactly how my client Andrea felt. She had went to a multitude of specialists hoping they could help her with this painful bloat. It was taking a toll on her both personally and professionally. She would be going into a meeting at work and she would feel like she started to look pregnant, or it was so painful she was struggling to even get through a presentation after lunchtime. It was not only making her feel was hurting her confidence because of the way she looked, but even just the way she felt as she went throughout her day. But the doctor said, hey, your tests look normal. Here's some Miralax. Don't eat these foods. This is just a part of aging. And of course, she was extremely frustrated with this train of thought. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the exact 5 steps we took with Andrea to relieve her from bloat, food stress, and as a bonus, she also lost 10 pounds along the way. And the first 3 steps, these are things you can start doing right now. In fact, these are things that are often overlooked. They're so simple, most people won't do them. Those are the first 3 steps, okay? We're going to go over 5 total. So step 1, we took a look at the way Andrea was showing up for meals. And this may apply to you too. We often are in such a rush state when we're eating. I got to hurry up. I have a meeting. I have to hurry up. I have to take the kids to school. I have to hurry up and eat. We have soccer practice to go to. We're always in this rush state, and eating in a rush state is creating excessive gas in the digestive tract. You start to swallow more air, and this then leads to bloat. So instead of eating in this rush state, now you don't have to take 30 minutes to eat. We didn't have Andrea take 30 minutes to get there. Instead, we want to sit down. We don't want to eat when we're running out the door. We had her sit down for her meals, put her phone down, turn off the TV, not be reading a report on her computer while she was at work. Take a deep breath in through her nose, out through her mouth, and then take that first bite. And then while she was eating that food, we gave her the cue of eat until your food is applesauce consistency. Breaking down that food not only made it easier for her body to digest it, causing less bloat, but also allowed her to better absorb those nutrients. So when she was eating a healthy meal, her body was actually getting those micronutrients needed to heal. So that was step 1. Step 2, having her cook down her veggies. And like I said, these are things that you can do yourself starting today. While vegetables are good for us, they're very healthy food, they can be hard to digest due to the fiber content. And so when we cook down our vegetables, we're making it much easier for our body to be able to actually digest those foods and not ferment and sit in the gut, causing painful bloat within the gut. Okay. And number 3, post-meal walks. Now you might be thinking, how in the heck am I supposed to do post-meal walks when I'm at work or where it's winter? Well, I want to keep it super simple for you. So if you can do a post-meal walk, even in your office, what this is going to do, it's going to stimulate the oxygen and blood flow throughout the entire body to help improve motility in the colon and relieve trapped gas, preventing bloat. And so what we had Andrea do is when it was in the warmer months, she did just a little bit of walk out to her car and back. That's all she did. Something super simple. It took her about 5 to 8 minutes, and this significantly decreased her bloat. Or in the evening, her family actually did a small walk after dinner together with her kids and everything. This helped decrease her bloat. So it doesn't have to be a long walk within your neighborhood, because I know that's not always possible. Keep it super simple within the environment that you are in. Okay. So these first 3 steps, you can start doing them today. You don't need a supplement for these things. You don't need to remove any foods for these things. These you can actually start doing today and start feeling relief. Now, steps 4 and 5 are a little bit more specific to Andrea because we had already identified the root cause of her bloat through an in-depth diagnostic and some testing. And so we knew constipation, work and personal stress, as well as low stomach acid were the root causes of her chronic and painful bloat. And so because of this, in step 4, we need to get her bowels moving. That morning constipation that she was feeling, and you might feel yourself, is specifically tied to constipation. The gut is filled and it wants to actually release, but it can't for a variety of reasons. And so all we did with her, and these actually reduced her bloat by 80%. Remember, she was having daily bloat, daily painful bloat, is we increased her soluble fiber. We had her start taking minerals, things as magnesium and sodium. And we also had her start taking some digestive enzymes to help break down that food better. So from a lifestyle standpoint, it was the way she was showing up for her meals. But from an internal standpoint, we had to get her bowels moving. And she had been constipated and was only told by a doctor to take Miralax. Well, that wasn't working. What we wanted to actually do is to reteach her body to have the nutritional support and the lifestyle support so it could break down food easier. And she went from having 2 bowel movements a week to daily bowel movements, which reduced her bloat by 80%. That pain went her way. Her life was improving. She no longer had to focus on how is my stomach going to feel when I eat this food, but actually be in the moment with her family or focus on the work when she needed to. Okay. Now, step 5 was a little bit trickier because what we had to do is we'd actually map out her symptom analysis. We had to take a look at lifestyle ways. When was the remaining 20% of that bloat? When was it occurring? And what we realized with Andrea specifically is she was in such an intense work environment. The stress from work was actually raising her cortisol and putting her in the state of fight or flight. And that is the last bit of bloat that she was having. She wasn't having it at home anymore. She wasn't having it when she woke up in the morning, but when she was going into the work, because she worked both from at home some days and in the office some days, when she would go to work, she was still having some of this painful bloat. And so what it was the stress work environment of trying to go after that promotion, trying to finish those final reports for the quarter. It was plaguing her so much that her body was reacting with this chronic bloat. So this was actually a cortisol response. So we had to focus on her cortisol and lowering her cortisol. And the way that we did that is in 2 specific ways. Number 1 is we had her work on box breathing techniques before she would go into work. And this is very simple. Imagine a box right here. Okay. So imagine an imaginary box. And I want you to breathe in, hold for 2, breathe out, hold for 2, come over and breathe in. And we had her do that before she went into work. And then when she felt that stress really hitting her at work, she was at a desk. She could just take a moment, go through her box breathing, bring the cortisol down. This supported her nervous system. And we were able to take that last little bit of bloat that she was feeling, and it went away. The second way we reduced her cortisol is focusing in on her sleep. So when she would go to bed at night, she was going in a more rested state and therefore waking up in a more rested state, which also reduced her cortisol. Because cortisol was that last bit happening for her and why she was still experiencing it, but it was all connected to the job she had. She couldn't quit her job. We had to figure out a way for her body to actually handle that stress and work through it because we could not remove it in this specific situation. And you can see right here, she says, I went to the doctors, I did all the things, and yet nobody could help me until I did this more big picture, lifestyle focus, looking at everything approach, because the Miralax wasn't the actual answer. It wasn't the root cause. We took a look at her meal hygiene. We took a look at her motility, and we took a look at her stress. And when we actually pinpointed these, then her bloat is basically non-existent. That pain is non-existent. And now she can eat lunch, not stressing. Now she can go on a date, not stressing. She can go on vacation, not stressing, wondering how her clothes are going to fit, wondering if she's going to have to stay in the room because it's too painful to go out with the family because of this chronic bloat, or too painful to go in that meeting and crush it because of this chronic painful bloat. It was a multi-layered approach. And the truth of the matter is most doctors don't have time to implement this multi-layered approach. Most nutritionists are only looking at your nutritionists. Most trainers are only looking at your training. But we take a 360 approach. We have to take all the pieces of the puzzle and we layer them on top of each other: testing, lifestyle, supplementation, in-depth diagnostic. We can actually get to that root cause on why that painful chronic bloat is occurring. And a lot of times it has to do with not just your gut, but hormones as well. And then work from the inside out to feel better in your clothes, to feel better when you show up for that meal, and actually stress less and enjoy food again. Doctors are just there to determine, are you sick or not? And oftentimes, if your labs come back normal, you're going to walk away from that appointment very disappointed. So you may actually relate to Andrea and having those interactions with her doctor. She felt unheard. You may have felt unheard. I know I have before when I've said this is wrong and everybody says everything is just fine. It must just be a part of aging. So just to review, we took a 5-layered approach to helping Andrea. Now, the first 3, once again, you can start doing today. We want to go into that meal in a rested state. Let's not rush through it. An extra 3-5 minutes, put the electronics away. We want to chew that food to applesauce consistency. Number 2, we want to cook down our veggies, cook down those fiber-rich veggies so you can actually make it easier for you to digest them and they won't ferment. Number 3, we're going to go on post-meal walks as we can. It doesn't have to be perfect, just getting some movement in after we eat. And number 4, if you are someone who specifically deals with chronic constipation, take a look at that as one of your potential root causes as well, especially if you're bloated when you first wake up in the morning. And number 5, stress. We often overlook stress because this is just the way it's supposed to be. Well, life is stressful. I'll sleep when I die is what we say to ourselves, especially if you are a mom. You always put everybody else before you, and you're in this chronic state of stress, and you don't realize that part of that bloat and those GI issues and those hormone issues are tied in there. Doesn't mean we can always get rid of our stress, but how are we allowing our body to work through it so we can stress less? So if this video has helped for you, go ahead, leave a comment below. Or if you're someone who actually knows someone else who you think this would be helpful for, go ahead and share it, because the reality is this doesn't have to be your norm. It doesn't have to be people you care about norm. 360 approach can really be the right fit for you. And these are 5 ways in which you can do it.